Thanks much, Mr. Whitaker. We're now going to do a round of questions, 5 minutes to each, allotted 5 minutes to each of the members of the committee, and I'm going to start. And I want to start, Mr. Lando, with you. And I am assuming that you agree on the importance of our alliances in Asia to push back against China, and the fact that that's going to be really important as we proceed through this 21st century with the ascendance of China. Could you give us your thoughts on that, please?
100%, Senator. Thank you for that question. And I think you've put your finger on the key geopolitical challenge of our times for our country, which is the rise, as we've all experienced over the last 30 years, of the People's Republic of China, both economically and militarily, to now be our nation's foremost strategic competitor, really all around the world. I think there was a reference in one of the statements to they're not only in their region, but they're also in Africa, in Latin America. And I think this is the biggest overall challenge to our nation's role in the world today. And I think you've also, correctly identified one of the key tools that we have to counter it. We are not alone. There's particularly the folks in China's neighborhood who have at least as strong an interest in countering China's rise and working very closely with us. We have a number of organizations there. Obviously, Japan is a very close ally of ours. Korea, the Republic of Korea, the ASEAN nations. We have the Quad with India, Australia, and Japan. So I think you have correctly identified that in trying to counter China's rise, we should work with all these nations in the region. Again, some of the ASEAN nations, the Philippines, Vietnam, they're really there on the front lines. And so I think we need to work very closely. But we also need to, muster our economic forces around the world and really unleash our private sector. I think for too long, honestly, and I alluded to this in my statement, the United States has not realized the importance of economics in foreign policy and commercial practices. And frankly, China has been engaged in some degree of coercive investment in certain countries. We've seen that in Sri Lanka and other parts of the world. But frankly, in other parts of the world, they're out hustling us. Our private sector is not there on the ground, coordinated with the U.S. government. And if I'm confirmed, I would love to work with the private sector. When I was in Mexico, the Chinese ambassador could go to a state and he could basically promise investment because they have state-owned companies. If I were to go to a state and they would talk to me about their investment needs and their resources, I have to go to the private sector then. I can't tell them what we're going to do. And so I think it's critical to unleash the incredible and unmatched in the world American private sector to help promote our national interest in developing some of these countries, and frankly, and obviously in a way that produces results for them too.
Well said. Mr. Whitaker, you come in to take over this job at NATO in a particularly sensitive time. As I said in my opening statement, and I think you referred to also, the fact that we're going to require our European friends and allies to step up. Look, this is the most successful military alliance in the history of the world. We're proud of it. It's strong. It's stronger today than it's ever been. The media focuses on our squabbles, but doesn't point to the fact that by adding Sweden and Finland, we dramatically increased the effectiveness and the power of NATO. Having said all that, as Senator Shaheen referred to, when someone has been supplying certain things and they decide, well, they're not going to pay the whole tab anymore, or a giant share of the tab, and asking the people to step up, people push back on you. It's human nature. It happens. We're seeing that in other areas too that we've dealt with. So your job's going to be to go over there and convince them that they're going to have to step up. The good news is you're seeing what we've been preaching to them for years, and that is that they do need to step up, that they can't be requiring us, as has been pointed out, to come in and pay a bigger share than what we should pay. And look, this is this alliance is a very wealthy complex of countries and has on economies that are similar to the United States, and they should be able to step up. So could you give us your thoughts on that briefly, because I'm running out of time, but you know the challenge, I know the challenge.
Yep.
In short order, what are you going to do about it?
Well, thank you, Chairman. In my 1 second that's left, I'll tell you, I agree with you. I think these challenges can be reached and overcome. I have no concerns that our European allies and Canada can all do more. They now want to do more. It's pretty clear if you read what they've said over the last probably month or two. But at the end of the day, words don't matter. It is going to be actions from our allies, and I fully expect that they will do what's necessary to continue to make NATO the strongest alliance ever on the history of the planet.
Thank you. You're going to be involved in the debate in June, as you know, when they talk about the 2.5%. That was everybody's agreement, and we're still a few short that haven't made that agreement, so it's going to be even tougher as we step up. The good news is they recognize it, and the vast majority of them are willing to step up. With that, Senator Shaheen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start with Mr. Land.